Hello, and welcome to the Social Small Talk.
Hey everyone, this is Audra Brim, and I am so excited that you've joined me for this episode of the Social Small Talk. I'm the CEO and founder of Brim Media, and I have dedicated my professional life to helping the beauty industry navigate the digital space. I believe that everyone can succeed if we learn from each other. That's why I'm here bringing ideas and information that can help you navigate the noisy digital marketing space. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Social Small Talk. I am, as usual, overly excited today, but this one's for a different reason because I believe this woman is extraordinary. I've had the opportunity to speak to her just a couple of times over the phone, and what she's built and what she believes in is something that's near and dear to my heart because I have two little girls. But first and foremost, let me introduce you to Kim Grustas, founder and owner of Good For You Girls. Kim, can you introduce yourself and tell everyone just a little bit more about you and about Good For You Girls?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. You're a sweetheart, and the feeling's mutual. So I am a mother of two daughters. Briefly, my daughters were both born with severe asthma and allergies, and I was in the natural realm. I had an advertising agency, and I came from the sport nutrition industry. So I was very familiar with ingredients. And when my daughters were sick, there wasn't, as a mom, you do anything to keep them safe. So when they were entering their tween years, I really realized that there was a void in great products for girls. And I felt, hey, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be me. So I started the company in 2008.
I love it. Do you mind just going back into you were in an agency, right? Like you had advertising background.
Yes.
And what's so fascinating to me is the fact that you saw a need in the market and decided, I need to help my kids. What in your head just switched that was just like, I need to help them?
Help my own girls?
Yeah, help your own girls, and just because I know that was the basis of Good For You Girls, was really seeing that they weren't able to find products that worked for them because of their asthma and allergies and stuff like that. So
it was really me being aware of them seeing other things like that kids are really oblivious to a lot. I mean, they really recognize a lot, but as a mom, and again, at first, we don't realize how much they really are aware. Mm-hmm. And we were in a Target, and my older daughter saw a product that was celebrity endorsed. And it was a Bath and Body set, and it was celebrity endorsed. And she ran over and said, "Mommy, can I have this?" And I flipped it over and read to my horror, read the ingredients and went, "Oh my gosh, this is all the stuff you can have that I don't want on your body."
Yep.
And then that woke me up because I had been using really natural products and really no products for them, very, very minimal products on their skin. So it really woke me up to how companies approached girls and I immediately internalized it and said, bad ingredients, disrespectful. And I said, wait a minute. And I was like, well, they must exist somewhere. So I started my search. And because I really wanted to respect the changes going on in their bodies. And because I take care of myself. So I really wanted them to be able to respect those changes that happened during puberty. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked that there were no products. There was baby products and adult products and this enormous void. And I had helped other brands. That's what I did in my agency. I really helped create a voice and products and things for other companies. So I said, well, wait, I'm if I can do this for other companies, so why on earth can't I do this? And, for myself and my girls and other girls out there. So that really became my mission.
When you had that realization, what were the steps? Obviously, you did the research.
Yes.
What happened after that to be able to start what is now Good For You Girls? Because I don't know if people realize this, but it is a bigger brand than I think Kim wants to admit. And so many people know about it, but going back to when you first started it, what was that process?
Well, it was really cute because, again, I had, I say cute because I laugh at myself now, my 12 year ago self. It's very naive, right? So for me, it was doing the research. It was seeing, really flooding the internet and stores and trying to find products and identifying my core demographic, knowing exactly where I wanted to target. And that was like the 8 and up. And I always, say 8 to 14 is a sweet spot, but I really needed to know as the brand, because all brands need to know who their consumer is. Right?
Yes.
You need to identify that first, and then everything kind of else follows. You have to keep, reminding yourself of that. And then it was really getting a lot of paperwork, duty stuff done. And one of the first things, and that's why I'm laughing at myself, was my UPC codes. I can't tell you how cool and how excited I'm like totally geeked out at myself that me just getting and registering my trademark for my logo, the name, and getting my own UPC code. It was like Christmas. And that's how I laugh. I'm like, yay, I've arrived, right? And I knew, because I had been helping other brands, how important having a UPC code and your identity was.
Yes.
And a lot of small brands don't understand that. But from day one, every product had its own UPC code, registered, yada, yada, yada. And so there was a lot of work ahead of launching the company. And again, working with manufacturers and getting the formulas perfect and all of that. And when I launched with one product, which is a little skincare kit that we still have today, which was a cleanser, toner, moisturizer, because I wanted a one-stop shop. I wanted the moms to say, yay, I've got everything she needs. And keeping it simple, and that's the product that we launched with.
I love that, because a lot of people go into this industry thinking that they need to have a whole line.
No.
And you are the exception, which is so nice to hear, especially to a marketer, because one, you knew your audience right away.
Yes.
You knew exactly who you wanted to go after, and you had that quintessential thought in your head to go, I want that one-stop shop. I want them to have 3 products that they can go use and feel confident with. When you launched, how did you get your name out there? What was the initial? And this is 12 years ago, right, Kim?
Yes. Yes. So again, I understood distribution and all of that. So I went to large distributors and I pitched to them, and that was hard because nobody wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
They really didn't. And I would have to go to this one was so obnoxious. I hated it. And, but
I love that you remember that. We all have those moments that we go back and we're like, but one person. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you have to do your due diligence, and you do. It's hard when you launch something and you feel like a little peon, and you are, frankly, and you want to say to people like, listen, you have no idea what's in my head. You have no idea what we're going to do.
Right.
And I remember going to this one distributor, and they actually allowed me, so gracious of them, wasn't it? They allowed me to go to each of their sales people during lunchtime to pitch them my product, like a desk side review almost.
Yeah.
And it was like, did you not tell them I was coming, or did you not? And I would have literally a minute to slam my product on their desk and show them the sell sheets and tell them all about it. And I have to go the next one, 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 and pitch my product, because they were the ones that worked for the health food stores that were going to be pitching my product. And, so I bought the whole office, donuts and coffee and whatever. And then I had to go and do this. And it was so weird. It was just strange to me, but that was the way 12 years ago that you did it. Right. And so I fortunately met, and this was really funny, for Whole Foods, the North Atlantic regional buyer, Marilyn Dale was her name. And Marilyn Dale had this reputation of not liking anybody, that she was tough and she was really hard, and, you'll never get your products in and whatever. The day I met Marilyn Dale, she hugged me. Hugged me. And she said, you are a breath of fresh air, and we love this. I love this product. And so she put me in the whole North Atlantic region. And then, of course, we had to use through brokers who didn't man the product very well. There's lots of lessons there. But that was really a great win for me as a small company.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first year we were in 200 mom and pop health food stores.
That's amazing. And that's just from you.
With one product.
Like if you were to say, let's say fast forward 12 years and pretend you're starting today.
Yes.
Would you go down the same road and go down the distributor road? Okay. What would you do?
No, because it's so different. It's so different. I do what I'm doing now, which is online.
Yep.
And Amazon and Walmart, QVC. It's, you have to control it. And when you are in retail distribution, it's really it is good. And I love the mom and pop health food stores. But I was standing, even in Whole Foods at dinner time, I've got my little table set up and I'm trying to, because that's what they require you to be doing demos.
Yep.
And I'm standing there, so a lot of times my daughters came with me, which was, they they thought that was fabulous.
We're back.
They're busy moms shopping for dinner, and they're not going to buy skincare for their daughters, right? And the mom and pop health food stores are they're beautiful. They were beautifully passionate people. And unfortunately, the world is a different place now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate.
It is. But what you're doing for girls and what you believe in hasn't changed. So just because the way you would market now compared to what you were doing 12 years ago, it's still those products that are amazing, that are helping people. How do you feel like, we're in the COVID age right now, and I hate to say that, but it's true. And the way of the world is just changing a bit. Like you just said, it is online based. People either are stuck home or trying to find stuff so they don't have to go out of their house anymore. Mm-hmm. Now that you've seen the differences that have happened, what are your thoughts in the next year to 2 years on where you see your business at least evolving to, or where you see the beauty industry evolving?
Okay. I think beauty has always been personal. But I think it's even more so. I think that consumers are recognizing excess more than ever. And they're realizing in living simply in their states that they don't need a lot. I think there's a lot of humility that we're learning as women. Again, we're just kind of keeping it close to home more than ever, I think. There's more of protection. There is more of, I don't know, soft is not the right word, but it's the word that comes to mind. There's a vulnerability, and vulnerability runs through, we women wear it, right? We are the protectors and the gatekeepers and all of that to our families. So we're in protection mode, and that is even more so with our kids and ourselves. So it's very important that we know what they're exposed to, right? And it goes full circle. As far as the beauty industry, I would like a retail partner, larger again, because a lot of the larger retail partners are online, right? They're still online too. It's the Targets and the Sephoras and the Ultas, the Credo Beauty and all of those sorts of businesses. And I would absolutely think the Good For You Girls' next step is to reach more people through those channels. But I'm very particular about what that relationship looks like, what the demands of those retailers look like. Advertising, what's the budgets? How much do we have to put behind the brand to help promote the brand? And all of those things.
I love your thought process of getting that retailer and being able to be part of something bigger as well. Because I think, like you were talking about before with Amazon, with being online and moving forward and things like that, it is nice to have a partner, especially when, again, I'm thinking about, let's say you started today. Kind of a fun time to start, right? But let's say you started today all over again. and you had this great idea and you knew it would affect people the right way. You knew it was something that's important to girls, important to even moms to know what's going on, to what's happening, and put yourself in that position of someone that maybe has a product that they know would do something similar for a different target audience.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that partner, you feel almost like a security blanket. Do you agree?
There's nothing nicer than getting affirmation from a retailer that they like your products, right? Yeah. And I did get that years ago because I was Target, had meetings with Target, and Target approved me, and I turned Target down, which was kind of crazy. But I also knew that at the time, I wasn't able to support those efforts within Target with the budget that I had for the advertising budget. I'm realistic about knowing how much money you have to put behind a brand to make it move off of a shelf. Yeah. And I do believe you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And Target was very good. They said, well, come back when you're ready, whatever. And so that was very nice. So it is nice to have validation from a retailer. It is still tough as an indie, because I think I'm technically an indie brand still. Mm-hmm. It's tough as an indie brand to really get that attention and get noticed. But they do control a lot. Yeah. And it's nice to be able to have that from their side too, that backing that say, hey, we're going to expose our customers to you. So that is nice.
And it's a double-edged sword, because you obviously, for a marketing standpoint, and again, this because of your background and being able to speak to an audience and know your branding and understand your audience as well. But when you work with Target or Walmart or someone like that, they do have standards as well when it comes to marketing efforts.
Yes.
Because they know their clientele, they know what they need as well. So sometimes it is a double-edged sword when you're looking at partnering with a box store or a big brand or something like that to be able to drive your business. Let's say you don't. Let's say, you know what, I'm in your shoes right now, and I want to just do this on my own. I don't want to partner with someone. What kind of efforts would you tell people, or maybe sit them down and say, no, that's not the right decision, or actually that is, if you stay on e-commerce, this is the marketing efforts, or this is where your money should be well spent?
Oh yeah, no, I would, if you are not ready for retail, do not go retail, because it will crush you. It will literally. And again, for me, I took the pressure off myself. I took that pressure off myself and said, nope, I'm good. I'm going to stay. Once I will back up, because I fired the distributors and the brokers that I worked years ago. And one day, it was a very happy day because I got burned by them. Yeah. Right? I think if I'm talking to any small indie brand and small people starting out, I would say keep it close to home. Control as much as possible for as long as possible, because this is your brand and you need to be able to make those decisions for your brand. And organic growth and slow growth is good growth. When you grow too fast, you can spiral out of control. Mm-hmm. I know so many brands who, didn't have the funding, went and got funding to try to get to retail, to try to do all these things. At the end of the day, they didn't even own their brand. They got a tiny little piece of it because they gave so much of it away, and they ended up walking away from their business. That's not what I wanted to build. So I've controlled my growth every step of the way. If we are born with a sixth sense, and if we as women, if something doesn't feel right, it is not right. That's the way I parent. That's, you get the goosebumps on your arms. You say, yep, no, doesn't feel right. Not going to go there. And we have to, as women, as business women, as entrepreneurs, as beauty, in any industry, we have to trust our instincts because we have them. They are there.
Yes.
And so I would absolutely say your website, Amazon is a great partner. Again, they don't care. Amazon doesn't care whether you do well or you don't, right? They're that kind of a silent partner. They take their cut, right? You do what you do. If you spend the money to grow your business on Amazon, it'll grow on Amazon. If you don't spend money, then you won't grow on Amazon, right? It's very simple. It's very simple. And there's almost no personal. It's not personal. It's not like with a buyer. Again, retail, there's a lot of, and it sometimes becomes personal,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they don't, and I'd like to say that all the buyers in the big retail care about you, but on the end of the day, they don't. They just care that your product moves and sells and you got shelf space. You're buying the shelf space, and that's the same today as it was 12 years ago, getting more online sales and all that. But if your brand doesn't move and it doesn't perform, they don't care. Whereas in an Amazon situation or your own e-com, you're the one controlling that. So if you want growth, you know what you need to do to grow it, right?
Yep.
And there's some times where I'm in a total growth mode where I'm like, okay, let's run, let's do all this stuff. And then what's also nice about it is I can take a mental break as well and saying, you know what? Because there's days that you've got emails at you. Everybody's pitching you the next best thing since gluten-free bread. That's how you use that. So I say sliced bread. But it never, sometimes it's just too much. You can only get so many pitches. And so if you're still in the driver's seat, you can control that. And I'm at that fortunate spot in my business where I can turn off the noise.
Yeah. What noise would you say would be the first that you would turn off? The emails, the buyers, the marketing part of it. There's so many different layers when you think about what owners have to go through, because usually what happens is they're in growth mode for a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're thinking about what's our year plan, what's our 5-year goal, what's 10 years from now. Maybe they want to sell it. If you're in that growth mentality, how do you pave that way? How do you make sure you feel like you're actually getting somewhere? Because sometimes we get so stuck in our heads that we go, oh, that year plan, it's coming up and I don't think I'm going to hit it.
You got to look at your numbers, and whether they're good or ugly, you got to look at your numbers. And sometimes it's fun. I mean, I like looking at my numbers because, look at that. And it's surprising. And I'll say, I thought that product was doing better than that product, but last month that product did better than that product. And so you can kind of adjust as needed.
Yes.
Right. And it's kind of fun to look at your numbers. And in the beginning, it's not so fun. You go, oh gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right. What am I doing? But numbers are good. Numbers are your friend. And which is also another reason I like Amazon, because they're there. You can't hide from them. They're smack dab, in your face. Your customers are your number one.
Yes.
And always. So one of my rituals is I never look at my emails first thing in the morning. I take care of all my must. Get my coffee, sit at my, I'm usually at my desk by 8:30. I handle all of the really important things first.
Smart.
I don't even open my emails. And so I allow myself to get through all of the really important customer things. It's looking at customer messages, any messages on Amazon from customers. I do all of that first thing because that can't wait and shouldn't wait.
Yes.
And only after that, I will start to address some of the things the emails that I receive. And even that, I create folders, to do later. And then I'll go back, at the end of the day, in the evening, and I'll review those, that kind of thing. I have to segment, or because there's hundreds of emails a day.
Yeah.
And I just can't get through them all. So I have to prioritize them.
I'm the worst because I'm laughing as you're speaking about this, because I'm like, the first thing I do is open up my emails, and then I literally veer 15 directions because that's what happens.
Exactly.
For the next month, I am going to check my emails after I get stuff done. I'll let you know how that goes.
You have to.
It'll be funny because by next week I'll be like, oh, there's an email. It just always happens. It's Audra Brent here, taking a quick break. Thanks again for listening. I just wanted to let you know about the offer Brim Media has put together called the 6-Month Strategy to Grow Your Business. This is your chance to have a tailor-made 6-month strategy to grow your business online. Think of us as your digital partner. We work with you to create a cost-effective success plan for your social media and digital marketing efforts. To learn more, go to www.brimmedia.com/6 months custom-plan. I can't wait to hear from you, and we look forward to working together. I want to touch on something that you just said a little bit ago, which is about the numbers, because I am a crazy numbers person and I geek out on analytics. And I think some people think it's funny and don't do it justice. But it goes back to a couple things when we're talking about marketing and growing your business and so many other things. But you know your ideal clientele. And a lot of companies do, but sometimes the numbers don't show that. And I know Amazon has great analytics behind it as well, but I always think the key is to looking into your website analytics and Google Analytics and actually diving into who your audience is. Because one, you can market and you could bring people to your website. You could bring people to Amazon, to so many different places. But if they're not the right people, they're not going to convert. They're not going to buy your products. So when you're talking about looking at those analytics, funny enough, I do look at my emails first, which is a problem, mostly because I am in my bed looking at my phone, looking at emails, which is horrible. Worst thing to do. Don't do that. But then the second thing I do is when I get to my office and I sit down is I look at our clients' analytics. It's the first thing I do because I always want to make sure we're always going after the correct customers. We're converting correctly. Numbers are growing. So when you're talking about that as a business owner or as a marketing director or VP or anything, I would always suggest, and you can tell me I'm wrong, I'm happy to, I like being wrong, is looking at your analytics as almost as a daily. Now, don't obsess over it, because if you obsess over it, then you go down a rabbit hole of not knowing what's happening or freaking out that maybe one day was a bad sale, one day was a good sale, but at least so you have an idea of what's happening. Do you agree on that?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Yeah, no, so I can't prove you can't say you're wrong there. No, it's really good, but it also, for me, it's hard because sometimes you don't even know you don't know what you're looking at, right? So it's hard, right? Financial numbers are easy for me because I get that, right? It's plain as day. But the analytics stuff, yes, even I gloss over when I kind of like, okay, what am I looking at? Whatever. And again, I know my customer. Mm-hmm. I think I know my customer, but it's surprising. But along the way, honestly, it would even surprise me. It has surprised me when I really sometimes look, because even I have different customers for different products. My deodorants have a different customer base than sometimes my skincare and my body care. So there's even little nuances within that, which in the products.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's really, that's interesting. So absolutely, you always have to stay on top. I absolutely recommend that, to stay on top of that, because it is surprising. And, even running those campaigns that are a lot broader to try to reassess that and know what those are, to get back to, your funnel, right? A big wide funnel and then coming down,
yes.
and almost compare them, right? So do one you think you know and do one you don't think you know, and somewhere you come up with really who it is.
You said it perfectly just now when it comes to the funnel and different campaigns. And obviously you're speaking my language, because this is the world that I love and live in. So I kind of want to segue into that a little bit of just when you're a business owner and you're thinking about campaigns and marketing and where to start. What advice would you give someone now? And again, it's different, right? Like we talked about this, where your energy was to distributors and getting that, and that's a different marketing tactic in general and sales tactic. Where now you have social media, you have Amazon, you have being able to just divert people strictly to your website and getting them on there and converting them that way. What would you suggest to people now? Let's say in 2020, maybe it wasn't COVID, or maybe during COVID, what do you think would be successful?
First of all, I think there's two parts to the answer. The first part is know what you're good at, know what you're really bad at as a business owner.
I love that answer.
It's so true. And we know it. We just don't like to admit it. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, Yeah, I want that ice cream, but I'm not going to eat that ice cream, right? Whatever. No, we have to, because we're so busy, we're wearing many hats. If you're not good at something and it doesn't fuel you and charge you and make you get up in the morning and make you excited, you need to find a partner for that aspect of your business. You really have to focus on what you do well in your business, or you will never succeed at the other, because you'll never want to do it. And it is exhausting. This business is not for sissies. And that's not my original quote. And it's not. It's a really hard business. And even though you're passionate and love what you do and are so fueled, and I still am, again, 12 years later, I think I might be one of the few exceptions, because I'm very tenacious. But again, my passion is there. But your passion can only be fueled when you're rewarded every day by what you're doing. And I know I have to focus on some of those smaller marketing efforts and being in touch with my customers and working on my formulations to know that I'm delivering the best product that I can. So those are my passions. And a lot of the other stuff is difficult for me because it doesn't excite me. And so you absolutely, the things that you don't love or you don't know, you have to find partners for that. It will just make your life so much easier.
I love that answer. And obviously I just love you, Kim. So there's just a thing here, and I keep telling her that. So anybody listening, it's actually a thing. I've called her now twice just to check up on her, just to see how she was. But it's so funny because as much as I love analytics, and I think this is a perfect way to explain this, I don't want to do my taxes, and I don't want to make sure my books are balanced. And one, because I'm good enough to get myself in trouble. And I hear that a lot in marketing, is people are good enough to get themselves in trouble. And when you feel that way, mm-hmm. That's when you know you need someone to collaborate with, whether maybe that's a mentor, maybe that's an agency to partner with, maybe that's something, but you need to, kind of stay in your line of knowing what's going to make you happy when you wake up. Like, I get excited about social media. It's a really big problem. My husband makes fun of me probably all the time because my obsession right now is TikTok. I'm a mom in my 30s and I literally love it. It's a weird obsession, but I just love knowing all of the back end stuff, all of what the algorithms are talking about, how people are being seen, stuff like that. That's what gets me excited to wake up every day. Where what gets you excited, Kim, to wake up every day is empowering girls and making sure your products are the best of the best for them.
Yeah, I like to stay close. And the COVID situation with Amazon, it was super hard on me. Just because I had to, but also good in a way because I am small and I control all my distribution, that I can turn on a dime. And when COVID hit and Amazon stopped shipping product to their warehouse or accepting product in, I took it all in. I was doing every single order in-house to all of my customers. And so it really renewed. It was fun. And it was good because I felt so connected to my customers. And, as you grow, sometimes that is hard. But, it was, I'm buying this for my granddaughter for her birthday. And there's so many, wonderful little things. And I think that was important. And I think at a stressful time, it made me super busy. But I think it was at that time, it was so perfect for me to reconnect with my customer. And I do love that.
You're saying it perfectly, which is, I think a lot of people almost found a new meaning of why they love their business during COVID, because they had to pivot. They had to figure out a reason or a way to make sure it stayed successful. A lot of people relied on either box stores or different ways to do business, even Amazon, when things started to halt. It wasn't 2-day shipping for things. It was no essentials had to go out, stuff like that. And it gives you almost that value add inside of you of going, I still love what I do. Like, I might have grown something and I was relying on other things beforehand, but I still love this. and you get to talk to your customers. You get to do that customer service part of that piece. But now you almost see, and we've talked about this off of this, which is what your goal is now. And I think a lot of businesses are so stuck in COVID and what's happening right now, instead of also planning for the future, where it's still the time to plan, right? You still have to look towards what's going to happen a year, in 2 years, in 3 years. And we might have to pivot again because who knows what's happening at this point. But where can I grow, or where do I want to be? Maybe I don't want to grow, and maybe this is the perfect spot that I want to be in. You and I have had that conversation of going, where should good for you girls grow to?
Mm-hmm.
Does it want to grow to, or what do you want? And I think a lot of owners right now are at that crossroads. It's almost like that fork in the road of going, do I go here or do I go here? And I think you said this perfectly beforehand, which is we stick to our gut, right? Like you get those goosebumps and you kind of know which way you want to go. Would you suggest that as an owner of a brand to always stick to your gut when you're thinking about your goals as well, of like that might pop into your head of going, I want to grow this. This is the time, this is the day. How do I do it? Or do you take a step back during COVID?
Well, again, understanding that big is not always better is important. And again, if anybody's listening and needs that advice about fulfillment, even if you have a fulfillment center, or you're doing it to Amazon, you need to have inventory that you can access. And so many businesses don't have that. They just let somebody else handle it. And unless you're touching your merchandise and you have access to in this new crazy world, you need to have access to that inventory. And that is crucial because then you have the ability, not to be reliant on fulfillment centers and not be able to have to rely on Amazon, that my business was not shut down. There were so many businesses that were shut down, and it's painful. And, and then when you're shut down, it's not like, oh, let me run to Toledo and get my inventory, right? You can't do that. It's no. And, so yes, that's super important to be able to have access to your inventory. And you do know, again, listening to your gut, whether it's time to grow or not. And that's why also having those checkpoints and having those partners and having people. I do work in a bubble. I'll admit I am type A, control freak. It's really hard for me to delegate. But I also think that makes me good at what I do, right? And so when I'm ready to do something, I'm ready, because it's like, okay, here we go. Because I've already tested it every single way possible to know that it's going to be good. It's going to be okay, right? And I overanalyze that. So, but it is, you have to listen to your gut. But again, bigger is not always better. And if you do grow, set a time, like if you are taking some chances, I would say, put reasonable checkpoints in it. So, okay, we're going to reevaluate after 3 months. We're going to reevaluate. Keep evaluating that so you can feel comfortable as that's happening.
I'm so excited right now. I could word vomit with you so much for some reason. And it just seems so natural. I think that's part of it for me, Kim, is just you're talking about growth, but it is so true. I think owners get it stuck in their head that they need to be this billion-dollar company, especially overnight. And with social media especially, they think that it's just going to blow up and be great and everything's just going to be hunky-dory. And then they get in it and they go, oh, there's a roller coaster that happens. I have my really good days and then I have my really bad days.
Yeah, or they just said, I put a ton of money into this and I'm not seeing anything, right? They're not having realistic expectations. And again, I'm older and wiser. So that's also, I consider that a really awesome thing because, and there are so many, entrepreneurs that are really super excited and and that's wonderful. Youth is fabulous, and that energy that comes with it. And it is hard not to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. But it's like having a little money in the savings account, right? You always, right? You learn financial responsibility as a young person, as women, you always have to have a little bit of a rainy day fund. And I use that analogy, but for everything, right? You can't put all of it out there and then just sit and see what happens. You have to be in control. And control means many things, but it also is, you have to have discipline. You have to have discipline in everything that you do so you don't have post-purchase dissidence, right? You don't have regret. And think that's where I've learned that, is that you don't want regret. And I made many mistakes. I did hire people in the past out of a whim, and then whoop, the money's gone, and all of that. And so I've been there, done that. And so I'm not infallible in that, but you learn from that. So you do become overprotective with that. And you say, this is my baby. It is my baby, right? So you want to make sure that you're making all of those right decisions. And again, not being a freak about it, but it's important.
No, I agree. And, in business especially, sometimes you have to test, and it's hard because, like you said, that's your baby. And you don't want to just, I say this a lot, but you don't want to throw money at a wall and hope it sticks. You want it to stick and you want it to grow. And sometimes you have these expectations that if you're putting money somewhere, it's just going to triple overnight, when you got to remember that it doesn't do that. Like, I say this a lot, and it's funny, but influencers, right? Social media influencers didn't happen overnight. They didn't just magically go to bed one night and the next day have 1 million followers. They actually do a lot of work to get to that point. So it's funny when you think of a business going, oh, I could just blow up overnight. It's like, it takes hard work and partnering with the right people or hiring the right people in your business. And you said it before, which is know what you're good at and know what you love and stay in that line, and then partner with people that are good and love what the other things are, whether that's marketing, whether that's accounting, whether that's PR. Like, there's just so many things when it comes to it. But when we're thinking about just what 2020 is like, what 2021 is going to be like, and we're thinking about that marketing process and whether you partner or don't partner, what do you feel like when you're thinking about partnering with someone or thinking about hiring someone on, whether that's an intern or an employee or an agency, what do you look for? What do you feel like you need out of a partner? Because I think a lot of owners or marketers or VPs don't know what to look for sometimes.
Well, for me, having an agency background and being, on both sides, I've worked both sides. When I started my agency, I had a rule that I was only going to work with nice people and products that I loved. And I always did. I never took, there was a bad brochure. I really don't want to design this brochure, but I'm going to take it, kind of thing. But so that was my general rule. So as a business owner and partnering with people, that's my first rule. I only want to work with cool people, right? Because I want to look forward to that phone call. And also, because I was on the agency side, I think I would say to people, I'm a really good client because I don't babysit you, right? You have to, again, everybody's in a test mode, right? In the beginning or whatever. But you have to trust people and you have to let them do what what you've hired them to do. But you also have to have those checkpoints. So if you're going to say, hey, listen, let's talk every Monday, we have a schedule, stay on that schedule, right? That's important because you want to be a good client as well. So it's like, okay, when's our meeting? Okay, good. And you don't break that meeting. Like if you've got that meeting, keep that meeting, right? Keep your promises. That's one thing I always do. If you've got a schedule, be there, right? That's important, again, to run any good business. You can say, oh, yeah, I'm getting my hair done or get my nail done, whatever, don't be doing that, things come up.
Me right now, because I'm just like shaking my head like a crazy person. Like, yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, you're running a business, right? You're running a business. And that's important. You have to treat it that way. And accountability to yourself. And that again comes with discipline. You have to be disciplined. And the other thing I wanted, you didn't ask me, but I was thinking of it when something else you asked, is it's really hard in this business because brands are so big. And you just have to keep your blinders on. I do, even, again, I'm not a little peon anymore. But I see the press releases. I see Cody buys this company and is Procter & Gamble did this and all that, right? And I'm a cheerleader. And especially, if they buy indie brands, I'm like, yay! And sometimes I've gotten the press releases from the, and I've actually sent them an email. And I've said, way to go. You go, girl. That was awesome. And we all have to be really positive about that because, you all wish it was you someday, right? But you have to run your business with blinders on. You can't judge yourself by other people's standards because you don't know what's going on. You really don't. Like the influencers, everybody is in Mykonos, Greece on a yacht somewhere, right? And I tell my daughters, no, I'm sorry, honey. It's not their lives and they have homework and they, right? It's reality. And the same thing for business is you can be fueled and motivated and pay attention to what's going on, but don't judge yourself by the successes or failures of other businesses.
I think that is the best advice I've probably ever heard on this podcast. And you kind of took words out of my mouth just because I think everyone judges themselves off of the perfect look on social media. And that's brands, that's people. You said your daughters with influencers. There is that Instagram life compared to normal life that I wish people would realize a lot more. And it goes back to, we've talked about numbers, we've talked about the analytics. There's vanity metrics on social media. And I think a lot of people judge themselves on that, which is how many fans they have. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies, and I know people know this and I know people don't know this, which is a lot of companies about a couple of years ago decided that those vanity metrics were more important than conversions. Mm-hmm. So they bought followers. Mm-hmm. Those followers are not real. They are not related to sales at all. You would rather have 1,000 followers that actually purchase from you than have 100 million followers and none of them do because they're not real. They're from Timbuktu and could care less about your brand. You want those cheerleaders. So, Kim, when you talk about not judging yourself, I think that's perfect from a business standpoint. From a marketing standpoint, you need to remember who you are, stay authentic to yourself and to your brand, and just stay on that path instead of always looking at, what are these people doing? Be proud of them. That's great. Maybe one day you could be that person, but you got to work towards it. You can't just go, snap my finger, I'm going to get there. But I love that you said that. And
Well, it's, again, success. We all have to measure our own success, right? And I have worked the 80-hour, like the nonstop, right? But you have to know that, say, hey, you know what? I've got to stop it. If you've got little kids, I've got to stop at 2:00 because they got to get off the school bus. I have to have this time. And that's success, right? That's success as well. So, you can do your plan and say, you know what, in 5 years, my kids are going to be off to college. My kids are going to be off to college in a month. And I can get back to, a crazier schedule. But what do you want for that balance? What do you want in your life? And you have to, you wouldn't own a business if you weren't somebody like me, right? You're crazy. And so, you work with people a lot like me, Audra. We're driven and we're passionate and all that stuff. And we also sometimes don't know our limits. And it is important to know that. And success is not always measured by what's in the bank account, especially when you're starting out. And you can't judge yourself by what's in the bank account sometimes. You have to see the light at the end of the tunnel and not be willing to kill yourself or give up so much of your life to attain that. And again, that's speaking from me not always practicing that in the beginning of my business, right? It's being honest, right? And that's why I'm in a place right now where again, if I can influence somebody else to say, wow, yeah, so right, I may be not making these great decisions and I'm stressing myself out, because that's not going to help anybody. And going back to nobody else cares in a big way, right? You're the one who has to live your life. You're driving the ship. So drive the ship, drive it where you want it to go, and know that there is no race to get there. That it is your passion, and if you want to, you want to develop your business. That if you have to take a day off, I just went through a very, unfortunately, I lost both my parents recently, and I was fortunate enough that I was in a place in my business that I could do that. That I could take that time. I could be there for them, and that's success. I don't know how else you would measure that. To me, that's success.
It's perfect. And again, for listeners that know me or don't know me, Kim and I personally attribute to a couple things, but I've lost both my parents, and it's very similar. I always tell business owners that you need to be able to walk away and be able to live your life. And I say that to everybody on our team as well, which is there needs to be a balance. Now, I don't practice that very well because, again, you just heard me say I check my emails in bed the first thing in the morning. So I don't have the best balance, and that's okay. I know it. I know my faults, and I'm good at that. But there's also an avenue of going when you have kids going to college at any stage, whether you have kids or you don't have kids. Maybe it's just that you just need a vacation. I think it's important to make sure that you get the chance to walk away and be able to refresh yourself and breathe and go, I can be me again. Because walking away sometimes actually gives you more purpose when you come back and drives you to more success. And success can be multiple things. Maybe it's just that you want to be that person on the yacht, that's their real life. Or maybe it's just that you just want a day to stay in a bathtub and just go, I don't have to think for a day. But Kim, what you bring to the table, you gave so many nuggets, and I hope people were like writing down like a crazy person, because I know I'm going to go back and listen to this recording, and like that whole last part that you just talked about, I want every quote from you. I'm like, yep, let me write that back down. So what I want is, if people wanted to reach out to you, where can they reach out to you? Is it social media? Is it your email? How can people get a hold of you just to learn more about Good For You Girls, and even just you, Kim, because you are an amazing person? Kim at goodforyougirls.com. I am available. I love mentoring. Again, I've had great mentors along the way. And one of the things too, it's as I learned actually later in life, I was actually traveling to a trade show. I was at the airport years ago. Quick little story. And I had a big tube of graphics, and the trade show, because I couldn't ship it, I had to carry it. And I sat next to this man at the airport, and he goes, fishing pole? He asked if I had a fishing pole in there. And I said to him, would you be impressed if I did? He said, absolutely. I said, I'm sorry to disappoint. It's trade show graphics. And he was, I can't just divulge who he was, but a very successful man who now travels the country speaking. And we had the most amazing conversation. And he said to me, never be afraid to ask the questions, which is what I've taught my daughters. And I like to teach anybody who's starting out in business, ask. Just ask. And if you, again, I love conversations with other entrepreneurs and other women, whatever business it is, because we're all in the same boat. We're all spinning on this crazy blue planet together. Yes. I mean, that's why I started this podcast, because I think people don't realize in the beauty and fashion industry how small knit it is. I mean, we're big, but it's very incestual. Everyone knows everyone. Someone knows someone that you want to get a hold of. And we should learn from each other instead of judging from one another. And I think that's a big thing in this industry, which is, like you said, we look at L'Oreal, we look at all of these big companies and go, oh, never going to be them, or look at what they're doing. And instead of judging, we should be mentoring. We should be advocating for each other and wanting each other to grow, because that ultimately makes us not just better people, but makes it a better world. And I am always a huge supporter of being authentic to yourself. And I think that's why we get along so well, Kim, is because you stay true to yourself, and you want that, and you want better things for the world. And I hope people, as they listen to this, really get a sense of just stay true to who you are, why you started your brand, and look towards the future in that sense, instead of always judging what's going to come next or who's going to do better. Stay true to yourself, because that's the biggest success.
Huge.
So,
Yep.
Kim, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
How excited I was to get you on this show. I know I'm going to have you again. So
Good.
I could talk to you for literally 3 hours.
I could talk too. So that's never been never been a difficulty. Awesome. I'm so happy, and again, any nuggets that I can contribute. And I have, linked my LinkedIn account too. If anybody, I keep that very, very particular about, as far as my LinkedIn, and that network is important to me, but anybody can reach me via email. I'm happy to share what I know.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to having you on the show again.
Great. Thank you so much, Audra.
Of course.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to The Social Small Talk. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at brimmedia.com for more show notes and additional episodes. If you have time, please subscribe to the podcast and consider rating and reviewing the show. It always helps other people find us. By the way, I love hearing from listeners. So send me an email at audra@brimmedia.com with your feedback. And if you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show. Don't worry, it'll be anonymous.